Hi, let us understand about entry point, run, add, and expose. While creating the image, there will be a requirement to install few softwares or packages as a part of that specific image. As well as there may be a need to download some repositories, any compressed file from a URL and expand it into a specific folder within the image. Also, there will be requirement to expose a specific port when a service is getting started within the container created out of this specific image. For all this, we do have the verbs like add, run, entry point, and expose. That's what we are going to discuss in this specific lecture. Let's go ahead and do a small demo. Let me create a folder for the same. Let me go ahead and create a Docker file. Let me name the Docker file as add_run. This time I'm going to make the parent image as Ubuntu. Let me add the tag maintainer. So who is going to maintain are the contact details of the maintainer. Then I'm going to use the verb run. So basically, I want to run this particular command to get all the updates. So the recent packages would get installed. Then I'll install Nginx. Install. Without asking for the confirmation, I want to install Nginx. Now I wanted to add a HTML file into a specific folder within this specific location. So basically within the GitHub location, I do have a sample HTML file that will get downloaded from this particular URL and it will get added into this specific location where www/html, that is the default doc root of Nginx. Nginx is nothing but it's a web server. Now I wanted to add execute permission for this particular index.html. So I will use the verb run. So it's going to change the mode with the property 755. That means it will have the execute permission. Then I will be starting the Nginx. For that I will be using the command entry point where I can provide the command and pass the parameters that can accept. So the Nginx, when it needs to run, I want to run it in the global mode and the daemon should be in the off state. So this is the option to start the Nginx. So I am passing the parameters -g and daemon off and I am going to start the Nginx within the sbin folder. And Nginx will be serving in the port 80. So I'm going to expose the port 80 from this specific container. So what I have done, I have used the run command to install the updates, install Nginx, as well as to change the file permissions. Then I used add to download a content from the GitHub repository and add it into the HTML folder. Then I used entry point to start the Nginx server, as well as to expose the port 80. I use the command or verb expose. I'll save this particular file and let me go ahead and verify the HTML file available in the GitHub location. It's a simple HTML file. Generally that would get displayed after installing the Nginx. Let me go ahead and build the Docker file with the command docker image build. I want to add the tag add_run. Then it will be tagged as 1.o. And the file that I wanted to use is add_run and it will be running in the current directory and it will be available in the current directory. So it's going to download the Ubuntu and do the update. Then it's going to install the Nginx. So the image got created successfully. Now let me go ahead and list the images available. Docker image ls. Add and run. Yes, I do have the image. Now I can go ahead and create a container within this. Before that, I am going to check is there any server running in the port 80 in this specific host so that I can directly expose it to the port 80 of this host. This is the DNS. Let me access them in the port 80. Nothing running in port 80. Let me make sure the port 80 is opened as a part of the security group. Yes, port 80 is open for everyone. Now I can go ahead and create a container exposing in the port 80. Let me create the container. Docker container run in the detached mode. And after execution, the container should get stopped. The name of the container is add_run. And the port 80 of this particular host will be mapped to the port 80 of the container. And I want to run the image add underscore run with the tag 1.o. The container will get started. Let me check the list of containers. Yes, the container is running in port 80. Let me go ahead and access the container in port 80. I'm able to get the response. That means the file got added into the specific location, the permission got changed, and all the instructions that I had provided as a part of the Docker file, the image got created perfectly. Let's quickly go ahead and revise what we had seen. Let me see the content of the Docker file. So we use the default Ubuntu image and we did the updates and we installed Nginx. Then we downloaded the content from the GitHub repository and added as a part of the HTML page. And we changed the permission of the index.html and we started Nginx and we turned off the daemon. Then we exposed the port 80. If you look at the verbs run, cmd as well as entry point, it looks all similar, but there are some differences. We will be using run to install package or a software on top of the image, and we will be using the command to run that as an individual command on top of that particular container that got started out of that specific image, and the last command will be the significant or the relevant one. And entry point, it can run or make a container like an executable. Almost the functionalities are overlapping. There are small differences, and most of the time we will be using entry point to start a service against a container. So in a quick summary, we had seen how to use run, add, entry point, and expose as a part of this lecture.